Hey, everybody. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I put the camera farther back so that I could, let me plug in my microphone. Forgot to do that. I'm gonna buy an adapter so I can have the microphone and charging at the same time. Hey, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have the camera farther back so everybody can see me. Oh, I need my lights too. Jeez. I was sitting here waiting for it to start and didn't do any of the preparation, plug in my microphone or turn on my lights. That looks better. How you guys doing today? I hope you're doing well. As I was saying, I got the camera back farther so we can get a good frame for the beginning. Because if I'm focused on the pot, you can't really see my face, but then I pushed it back far enough, I couldn't even hardly see chat. It's so small on my phone. Everything sound okay? You guys doing all right? Good deal. Hey, Gary. So yes, the Bob Ross of Pottery is back, and I even have a paintbrush. Montana, hey. Yeah, the light makes a big difference, Kathy. Hey, Seth. I couldn't read that last username there. But anyway, hey, Pottery Works. Hey, should I call you Pottery Works, or should I? Do you have a name that I can try to remember? Hello from California. Hey, welcome. Apologize that I don't know your name. John, okay. Hey, that should be easy to remember. That was my father-in-law's name. Hey, Deborah. Welcome. All right, so John should be easy to remember. All right, we're going to start out. I've got a couple things to do here that are not throwing. Hey, Timothy, welcome. I'm going to put handles on this vase that I've got here, and I've got a pitcher to put a handle on, and then I've got a top to throw for the 6-pound bottom that we made in the last live stream. And then I have some lids for these 6-pound jars up here that I need to trim and put knobs on. And then we'll see how long that takes and whatever else we have time for. So like I said last time, I'm just trying this at different times during the day to see what works best as far as getting it to the most people. I know everybody can watch the VOD afterwards on YouTube, but the whole purpose of doing these live streams is so you guys can be here and interact if you want to. So anyway, so we'll get to this. Like I said, this vase, who's the sponsor for the video? Yeah, and today's sponsor, well, Seth, if you want to be the sponsor, we'll work out those details. I'll send you a bill. You can be the sponsor for this episode. Sponsorships are not free, Seth. Come on now. All right, so I'm gonna put handles on this, and then of course a handle on the pitcher back here. And I'm gonna show you guys a trick that I use. Yeah, Seth. Well, you could work it out. You know, we could trade it out for some work. I'm gonna show you guys a trick that I use to put handles on. If you have a pot like this, this one already released from the bat when I was actually it came off the bat as I was throwing the top on it, and I had to refix it or stick it to the bat with some wads of clay. The bottom had gotten a little bit stiff before I put the top on. So, but the top is still moist enough that wet enough that I can put the handles on. But if you ever want to put more than one handle on, sometimes it's a trick. Hey, Jennifer, I'm glad you love your mug. Thank you so much. Sometimes it's tricky to get those handles spaced or at the same height across from each other. And unless you want to, the first thing I thought of is like, well, I could draw a line on there with a needle tool. And if you don't have a line anywhere on the pot as far as to gauge the height from, it's kind of hard to tell. So what I thought of doing is I actually take a paintbrush and I get it wet and I put the pot back on the wheel, and I get the paintbrush wet, and let's say I want to attach the top part of the handle right there. Then I've got a line that I just drew with that, and then I can use the bat pins on my wheel to come up straight from that bat pin. I put a little thumb mark there, and then I spin the wheel around and I come up from the other bat pin there. And so now I've got the starting point at the same height on both sides because of that little thumb mark that I just put in there, and then one on the other side. And then what I'll do is then I'll come down from that, and sometimes I don't exactly know where the handles are going to end, but this still helps to give you a reference. So I'll put another line of the water there, and then just put another mark. This is probably lower than I need it, but like I said, it still gives you a reference point to go from. So now I have two lines on there. I've got one for the top part where I attach the handle, and then one for the bottom. So that helps. And of course, the shape of your handle, that's all going to be based on your eyesight and what you can see as far as the shape and how you apply them, attach them. But that's a good starting point to help get those handles the same height. Now, I know I mentioned last time that I don't normally score much, but I do use some slip. So I've got some slip here that I'm going to go ahead and put on the top portion. We won't put any on them yet. And then I've got a handle over here that I extruded out. Now I'm just doing a smaller handle, and I'm not measuring the length, but I'm just going to cut one, and then I'll use it to cut my second one so that they're the same length. All right, so I've got two handles here that I just cut. All right. I'm going to take the end of this one and kind of flare it out with a little bit of water to start with, and that will help me get that smoothed out better to that top. And then we'll just bend that and then loop it down. And yeah, as I thought, that's a bit low for where I want to attach the bottom. But like I said, I can still use that as a guide of like how high up above that line that I put that I attached the bottom of the handle. So I'm just going to get a little bit of slip and actually put it on the back side of the handle there, and then attach that down. And this one I'm not smoothing all the way out, I'm just kind of pushing it in and flattening out the end of it there. So you can see what I did there to the bottom of that one. You can see my line right there. So now I just kind of smooth over that line with a little bit of water, but that'll give me an idea of how high to do the other side. All right. Now, like I said, we'll get a little bit of slip on the inside of that handle. And try to come just above that line that I made. All right. I also use the paintbrush to smooth out any extra slip. Like there's some extra slip right here in the crack. I can take my paintbrush and smooth that out instead of using a sponge. Also, this when I bent that over, it got a couple little small cracks in there. Maybe the clay's short or whatever, and I can smooth that over a little bit with a little bit of water. Helps not to bring, by doing it this way without the sponge, helps not to make it too rough, not to bring any of that rough stuff to the surface. The grog and the clay. This clay has a decent amount of grog, so I don't want to bring any of that to the surface if I can help it. All right, and now what I'll do also is take a little bit of the clay from where I made the handle, and I'll make my little ball. These I probably don't need to add any slip, but I just usually add a little bit of spit to them. Make my little buttons at the end, which are just decorative. There's no real necessity to have this, but I think it just helps add kind of like a little button to the end of the handle as far as aesthetics go. And so there we go. There's the vase done. This picture was also a two-piece vase. I threw the bottom one day and came back the next day. You guys probably, if you watched my recent video, you saw another picture I made, which that one is not this one. That one's already dry. But after I did that one, I thought, man, I need to do at least one more like that, because I really love how I can get that nice round bottom shape like that, and then get a nice that top on it, and you get a whole lot more of I think height out of the piece in general, because like I said, I was able to pull this very thin down here in the bottom, and then not have to worry about that sagging as I put, you know, that extra 1.25 pounds on top. So this is only 4.25 pounds probably total, and let's see, and we've got a little over 13 inches in height. So, and the belly's like 7.5, 8 inches wide. So, you know, I'd be hard pressed to make one this size out of one ball of clay and be that nice shape. So anyway, I've got a handle extruded, similar design as far as the shape of the handle as the one for the little vases, and I'm just going to cut it, let's see, lengthwise, and I can always make this a little shorter once I get it up there. I don't want to make it too short. All right, so what I'm going to do with this, thank you. Is that Jackie? Is that how I say that? I appreciate that. Let me go back through the comments here. No, I think John, that was actually, I saw John the Potter actually use the plastic bag in the extruder, so it's probably him. I don't think you probably just confusing my video with his, but yeah, I thought that was pretty neat that he did that. I've never done that with my extruder, but definitely is a cool idea. The barrel on my extruder is not as big as his. I have a oh, no worries, John. Mine is a God, I can't remember the name of it now. North Star, and I believe John's was a Brent, just from looking at it, because it had the round. Anyway, what I'm doing is just flattening out the end of this to give me a blunt end to attach directly onto the back like this, and then I'm going to fold the bottom down. So I'm going to flatten that out, and I'm not going to score this one, but I am going to add slip to the end of this. One of the things that I'll say this, one of the things that I'm not a big fan of about scoring is a lot of times people score a bigger area than they need for their handle. And then you can actually, after the pot's finished, you can actually see the scratches beside the handle. and I just don't like that. So I mean, unless somebody cleans those up, then you can do that, but that's definitely difficult to do. Of course, you could score the backside of the handle, but usually the handle is the more wet part of the two anyway. So if you want to score anything, it would probably need to be the pot. But I'm just not going to do that. I have found a good success just by adding slip, and I can also just add the slip right to the end of the handle like this. And then the extra that squirts out as I attach this, I can just clean off with that paintbrush. So I'm just eyeballing straight across from the spout there, and then I'm going to go under this lip right here. And just I'm just pushing and kind of twisting at the same time to kind of get it smushed up in there. Smushed, it's the technical term again. Somebody commented on that. Is smush a technical term? It definitely is. All right, and before I clean that off, I'm actually going to attach the bottom, and that way it's not just hanging here. But first, that's probably a good length. I don't want to make it too short. And as far as size, I could probably shorten it just a little bit, but I'll probably just squish more of it flat. All right, so now I'm gonna, just like I did with the vase, I'm gonna take a little bit of slip and add it to the back side of the bottom part of the handle, because the bottom of this is a lot drier, of course, than the top, because I made this in two pieces. The bottom was already drier when I put the top on. So that is one area that I would be concerned about making the connection. The good thing is when I go to smush the bottom of that handle, I'm not going to cave in the base of this, which is always tough with pictures. Unless you can get your hand in there and support it, it's tough, because if this is wet down here, which is usually more wet than the top when you're putting a handle on a pitcher, is that it's a tendency to cave in this as you're smoothing out or flattening the bottom part of your handle. So I'm gonna tip this up. Ooh, there it goes. Release from the bat. Oh no, I smushed the edge of the foot. All right, we can fix that. All right, so now I'm gonna, it looks like it still is pushing in a little bit. So I'm gonna be gentle with that. I said that about not caving in this, and then it caved in a little bit. But I don't believe I can get my hand down to where that is. Oh, actually I can. There we go. I guess because I threw that so thin that it still is soft enough that it will cave in. Plus I did after I put the top on, I did spray this belly and then wrap plastic just around the base and let this, so this would catch up to the dryness of the bottom. The thing I'm worried about is this foot that I just almost messed up there. All right, so we'll worry about that in a second. Now I'm going to take my paintbrush and clean up that at the top and underneath, get that extra slip out of there. And there's nothing special about this paintbrush either. It's just a cheap Walmart paintbrush, I believe. All right, do the same thing with the bottom here. And I don't mind adding a little bit of extra water too to when I clean that out, because that's just going to help it attach all the more. All right. Now let's add add a button at the bottom of this handle as well. Make sure I don't put my tripod on the foot pedal, then we'll really lose it. Put that there, get my stamp, and I know I can reach in here, so I'm going to go ahead and put my hand in there and support that to push in the clay for the stamp. Hey Gene, yeah, it's Magic Paintbrush. It's a happy little paintbrush. That's right. It's just the Bob Ross of clay right here. Welcome. All right, now let me, I'm gonna go ahead and, a lot of times I like to, if I do a bunch of handles, I let the handle stiffen up before I do my thumb grip. Right now I don't really have the time, well, if I let that stiffen up, but I think it's stiff enough that I can go ahead and do it. I'll show you guys. Normally what I do for my thumb grips is I just do a strip across. So what I'll do is take the extra part, extra bit of the handle that I have, and I'll cut me a little section of that. And then I usually cut some of that off as far as long ways, because that'll be too thick if I did the whole handle. So that I end up with something like that right there, which is just a little section of my handle. I mean, you could just roll out a piece of clay to do that, but this is already kind of in the shape that I want. Just adding a little bit of water to that, and it's already the right width as well, so I don't have to worry about getting the right width across there. And it also tapers, like I said, from side to side. So just doing that cross section of the handle for this shape handle just works really well. You can see why if the handle was a little bit stiffer it would be easier, because I wouldn't have to worry about deforming the handle while smoothing this together. But I think it'll be okay. There we go. Now we got a little thumb grip there on the top part of the handle there. Come back and look at the shape. Make sure I didn't deform it with that. All right, now I got to worry about the the foot. Here's what happened when I it broke free from the bat and leaned forward. It's probably not going to hurt it as far as sitting, but maybe what I'll do is when I go to trim this, I can actually fix that, because I usually run a knife around that edge, and I can probably fix that when I go to trim it. So I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. We'll just leave it like that. Sorry, hitting my bowl back there of glass beads. All right, so like I said, for being 4.25 pounds, or around 4 to 4.25 pounds for each of those, that's not bad. And like I said, the pitcher was I think 13 inches tall, and then the a little over 13. Let's see. Yeah, maybe 13.25, and the vase is about 14.25. So pretty good size for. Hey Rick, welcome. For that amount of clay, I'm very happy with that size of piece. All right, let me scroll back up. Hey Deborah, I'm glad I was able to help, and thank you. I love making pictures. That's probably one of my favorite shapes, if not my favorite shape. Yeah, Gary. Using vinegar, I know a potter here locally that he lets stuff get really dry, and then he uses vinegar and attaches all his handles and never has any problems. So vinegar will do that. You just have to be careful, because you know it will definitely it'll soften the clay to the point that you can't do anything with it. So yeah, George, I'm sure if you heard, it was 13.25 and 14.25 in height. So. All right, now we will throw a top for this 6-pound base. You're welcome, Jan. We'll throw a top for that 6-pound base and attach that. I know you guys have seen that, but I've got that one. I need to do that anyway, so this is what we're doing for now on the live stream, and then we'll maybe we'll get to trim those lids, and like I said, see what time it is, see how much time is left after that. So this was made out of 6 pounds of clay. And like I said, I've had it covered up since, let's see, last live stream, today's Monday. I did live streams Saturday? I don't remember now, Friday. Maybe it was Friday. And made this then. I've had it covered up since that evening. So I'm going to measure inside the top. I'm going to leave probably a good 1/2 inch or more on each side of that opening when I measure from the inside. I guess I could do that with a ruler, but it's about 4 3/4, and my ruler's set to 3 3/4. So yep, about a 1/2 inch on each side. And then I'll probably use about probably about 2 pounds of clay to make a top for that, and it'll make a pretty good sized pot that way. I didn't have that clay ball cut up already, so hold on a second. And yes, that's more than 2 pounds. I just grabbed the log instead of cutting it over there. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's one of the advantages of doing the live stream. It's like a free workshop for you guys if you not getting the hands-on, but virtual free live stream. Or virtual free workshop, sorry. I finished filming my video for tomorrow. I finished filming it a little while ago, and so I already got part of it edited. Just about done with that. Let's see. Hippos from outer space. I didn't catch your full name earlier. When you're pulling, use the sponge. Yeah, I'm just adding water to the top there when I do that first pull. I'm just using the sponge to add water, and then also when I'm pulling, I keep it in my hand to keep the clay wet. So the capacity of the 6-pounder. That's a good question. That's definitely over a gallon. I'd say maybe been a gallon and a half. The handles, these handles definitely don't need to be dried under plastic. They'll be fine like that. It really depends on how hot and it is in here, or the humidity. I actually in my last video where I finishing the 2-part vases, at the end I did a picture very similar to that, and you can go to the end of that video and see. I mean, you're welcome to watch the whole video, of course, but if you go to the end of that video, you'll see me adding the spout to that. Maybe we'll throw a picture today, and I can add a spout live as well, in case you have any more questions. As far as what pieces just sell the best, by far coffee mugs are the best seller, I think, for every potter I've ever met. Unless a potter didn't make coffee mugs, then that'd probably be the only reason that coffee mugs weren't their best seller. there's other potters here, I'm sure, in the live stream that could tell you the same thing. I'd be surprised. It would either be coffee mugs or bowls. So I can't imagine that any other items would be bestsellers, like I said, unless somebody didn't make many of those items. That would be the only reason I would think that wouldn't be a bestseller. All right. So there's the top that I'm going to flip over onto that base there. And I made that with that, so that will curve over the lip of this bottom piece. I've got, what I'm looking for is I've got an X on my wheel head next to that bat pin. And after I finish throwing this, I put some clay on the bat next to that bat pin so I could get this back on the wheel the same way it came off. So I'd have the best chance of this still being centered. That must have been Gene. I saw something about 110 coffee mugs. Yep. Hey Horace, welcome. Yeah, Gene, I had a bunch of coffee mugs ready for the Hickory show, and then that's what I ended up putting on Etsy because I had a pretty good feeling before they ever canceled it that they were going to. So I put some pieces up on Etsy, and then when they officially canceled, I went and grabbed about another 10 or 15 more coffee mugs and put those on there because I was like, well, I don't need to save them anymore. So just put them on Etsy, and I really appreciate any of you guys that have ever supported me on Etsy. I really appreciate it. Just supporting small business in general is a big thing, especially in the times that we're living in right now. Nope, sorry, you guys couldn't see. I was cutting the bat off. All right, let me raise you guys up. My hands are wet. There we go. Deborah. Yeah, well, that's thank you, Gene. Yeah, that last batch of red was really nice. I was very happy with it, and literally, I think I have one red mug left that is on Etsy, but I think that's the only one I have left out of that whole kiln load of red mugs, or mugs in general. So I'm just smoothing those two lips over. So basically the top of the pot was like this, and then the top of the bottom that I made, I put over the lip like this, and then I smoothed the outside, and then I had the inside, and I was smoothing that over on the inside to help join those two together. Okay, Mike. No more red mugs left. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Look at that live update. That's funny. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I've actually got 3 more pots already packed up. So Mike, I'll get yours packed up, and then it'll probably go out in the mail tomorrow. I had 3 more that I had packed up over the weekend, but didn't go to the post office today, so I'll get those out in the mail tomorrow, and then along with yours. I'm gonna back you guys up. I won't be able to read comments, but you'll be able to see the full shape if I back you guys up like that. And then I'll get back to the comments when we finish doing the shape on this one. Maybe we'll make a larger version of a couple of those that we made that were smaller with the grooves in the neck. I haven't made any large ones like that yet, so this looks like a good candidate for that. Yeah, I believe so. And then let's see. I might use my finger for this instead of that paintbrush that I did the last one, because paintbrush is smaller and my tip of my finger would be bigger to make bigger grooves. Let's see. I don't know though. I think the paintbrush cuts into it more. I think I'll just grab the paintbrush. There's that. There's. Paintbrush is not squishy like the tip of my finger. I guess I could use maybe my knuckle. There we go. That worked. Maybe I don't need to do too many vases with this design. If people not end up not liking them, I'll have a whole bunch of them, and I'll be like, well, those didn't sell. But that wouldn't be the first time I've done that. It's not like I'm doing the whole kiln load that way, but I also have to somewhat trust my instinct that I think it looks nice and that people will like it. I always try to do something new and different too, because people that, as far as from a business standpoint, people that are, if you're an artist, people that are collecting your work, if you've making the same thing you made 10 years ago, then they may already have a collection of everything you made 10 years ago, and you may need to make something different. So, whoa, I was trying to set this up here so you guys could see. Maybe a better angle. So, yeah, that was 6 pound bottom and 2 pound top. So we got 8 pounds in that total. And it's 18 inches tall. So there you go. And I can't remember who it was in my last, I think it was after my last live stream, I talked about my wheel being squeaky. And they sent me a message and said, you should get some automotive belt conditioner. And so I have bought some, but my wheel today for my video was very squeaky and it was annoying, and I knew I was going to do the live stream, so I looked up on Google for an alternative, and it said use silicone spray. So I had some of that, so I put some silicone spray on, and I still have the wheel head noise, of course, but the squeaky belt, I believe, is unless you guys noticed it. I didn't notice it, and earlier today it was very noticeable and kind of annoying. So, but so yeah, so there's an 8 pound one, 18 inches, a picture that's 4 1/4 pounds, 13 1/4 inches, and then that one as well is that was probably only 4 pounds, because I think I only put a pound on top of that to make that neck. So like 4 pounds, and that was 14 1/4 inches. Let me look back at the questions now, or comments. Hey, Hollisan, I'm glad you like your mug. Yeah, I remember your name because it was unique when I was packing that. Yeah, Horace, probably not going to fire the wood kiln again. I don't know, maybe mid to late April, because I know I'm not going to have the kiln opening until probably May or June. And so I'm just giving myself some time and not getting too stressed on trying to make stuff too quickly or whatever, just trying to help out around the house and doing some other things. I've got did a little video production for our church, so we could see, and I've already got all the lights and cameras. I filmed the music and the sermon last week, and then we put that up online for Sunday for everybody to be able to have church on Sunday through a good video. So anyway, yeah, I've done a lot of other things, but still been out here making pots just about every day. Hey, Peter, just 25 years of practice, and I mean, I'm probably constantly wiping my hands clean. But hey, Gene, you like Danielle's Tar Heel mug? Yeah, that actually is my purple glaze, the 2 glaze combination I usually do. But when it got oxidized, it turned that light blue, and that combination, it looked really nice. So I definitely would like to get less oxidation in my kiln, but when there's spots and I know where they are and I can put a mug like that there, then I get a good yeah, I definitely, Daryl, I definitely change my water bucket every day, mainly because I like warm water. I don't like using cold water, and because I want to get the junk that settles out of it, the clay that in the bottom. So I'll dump the water off the top and then empty the slip into another bucket, and then get fresh warm water. And the second part of your question? I can't remember now. Oh, I have a water source. Not yet. I do have. I had to do some work on my house as far as running a new water line last year. And while I was doing that, I ran a water line from my house to the shop, which is not hooked up yet. But I do have a water line run so that I can soon put in a sink here and have a water source. And I'm going to get a point of use water heater so that I have warm water in my studio. I'll be like, that'll be it for me. Not it, but thank you, Felicia. Alonzo, hey buddy. I hope you're doing well. Alonzo was came all the way from Missouri to, did I say Missouri, right? To my kiln opening, my very first kiln opening, and had already bought some pieces from me online, but then came here and bought some things, and then took home some wood ashes from my very first firing. He was going to try to make a glaze out of those, so. Danielle's trying to strike up a deal. Gene. Thank you, Jennifer. You want a Carolina blue mug, Seth? Yeah, actually, Gene, that would work. If I fired them in your kiln, they would turn that color. You're right. I forgot you fire neutral. I didn't forget, but I didn't think about that. Yeah, St. Louis. Okay. Seth, I don't believe I need a restroom. Um, well, we won't go into that. There's woods all around here, and then I've got my house right next to the shop too. So, Deborah, yeah, I'll be making more red mugs, and I'm probably going to, before I fire my gas kiln again, I'm actually going to make some mugs. So I'll probably take a break. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Before I finish making all the pots for my wood kiln, I'll probably take a break and start making make some mugs for my gas kiln. Because I have some things that I need to fire in my gas kiln, but I'm out of red mugs, as I just said. So I definitely will make some more red mugs, and that way also I could probably do another Etsy restock in April and do a bunch of mugs and a few other things. So I got to do some mugs like that red vase back there. You see that one? That's the one that was from my my post. You can't hardly see it there because it's dark, but I decided to keep that one. Hey John, I'm in right outside of Seagrove, North Carolina. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I've got, if you can see on the table back there, I've got lids that need to be trimmed for these 6-pound jars up here. So I'm going to throw the knobs and throw some little small cylinders and set those aside that will end up being the knobs after I trim those. Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate it. Yeah, that red, I'm very thankful. Trust me, red is one of the hardest colors to do, especially a copper red is one of the hardest colors to do. From every potter I've ever talked to, it's one of the most difficult colors to do. And even in my kiln, it's a little finicky. I'm sure there are things that I could do to make it more consistent, but I'm very fortunate in the sense that the very first recipe I ever tried of copper red turned out the red that you see that I have now. As far as a red mug, I didn't keep a red mug, no, but I kept that red vase. I'll grab it so you guys can see it. You guys will remember it. You guys remember that one, I know. I kept that one because that was just stunning to me when it came out. I just was like, man, it's not a huge pot, but there's a whole lot going on that one pot, and that combination I'll definitely be doing some more of. Yeah, Timothy. Yeah, the area here in Seagrove started because there are natural clay deposits in this area. Definitely. Yeah, Daryl, that'd be awesome. Yeah, you're one of the closer ones of anybody probably watching, other than maybe Gene. Yeah. Yeah, Jackie. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. So are you still doing pottery, or you not anymore, and just or just not doing gas or not doing red? I don't know. Maybe I talk too much, but this I can't believe that 51 minutes has already gone by. Maybe. Of course, I do this more nonchalantly than I do my videos. I've got a plan when I do videos, and I kind of like get to it, you know, get to the point. But in these, I figure it's nice to take time to talk to you guys. So I'm just going to throw these little cylinders off of a hump of clay, and then I can use these to make the knobs on those lids after I trim them. So I'm gonna get a bat here set aside that I can set these on after I make them. I probably didn't need this much clay, but either way, it's all good. Like I said, I'm just throwing cylinders, and then I'm gonna use my rib here to cut them off and just set them over here on my bat. Yeah, they don't have any bottom in them because they're just going to be the, like I said, they're just going to be the knobs on top of my lids. But when I first started making lids like this, I would, where you throw them upside down, turn them over and trim them and add a knob, I would just add a ball of clay, and then you have to center that clay onto the knob, and you know, if it didn't stay, if the lid didn't stay stuck to the bat, you'd have a mess because then you knocked it off center. And so I figured by actually throwing little cylinders like this and then attaching these, number one, the clay was a little bit more wet and easier to kind of bond to the lid after you trim it because of this being thrown and the water I add to it. Plus, it's already it's already centered as long as I get it centered on the trimmed lid, and I just found it to be a lot easier process to do it this way. And I found that using that rib to cut them off of this hump of clay was easier than using a wire or a needle tool, because I kind of use the rib to cut it and then to kind of lift up as well. And I'm leaving these a little bit, I'm leaving the clay a little bit thick too, because I want to be able to shape it in. I want to be able to pick them up after I cut it free from the hump. So I think I've got, I have 6 jars. I think I have 7 lids. I made one extra just in case. All right, there's 2, 4, 6. Maybe I'll make 8 of these little cylinders. Give me one extra of these as well. I like to add a little bit of water right there where I'm going to cut this off. Kind of helps it helps that rib slide through the clay and cut it easier. I guess I didn't have too much extra clay as I thought I did, so sometimes it can be hard to tell how big of a cylinder you need to make the knob, but I'd rather have a little bit more than I need. Can always cut that off as well, even after I'm attaching it to the trim lid. All right, there's 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep. Okay. Sorry, just scrolling back through. Okay, Jackie. Yeah, most people are firing in electric kilns just because that is the most available and most convenient way to do it, and it's the best way if you're starting out. It's one of the best ways to start. Yeah, Daryl, candlesticks. I do have a video on that, but we'll see. Remind me of that a little bit later. I'll probably remember if we have extra time. Hey, wheel throwing pottery tips. Hey, welcome. Yeah, Mikkel, I can't remember. I think you said it was like nickel, but it sounds weird for me to say Mikkel. It looks more like Mikkel. But either way, welcome. Maybe correct me whether it was the first one or the second one. Mikkel or Mikkel. Welcome, welcome. All right, I'm going to move these pieces back. Okay, Mikkel. Okay. It sounds interesting to me. But yeah. Welcome. I know you said that last time, but my brain just was like, no, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to slide these back. Slide that one back. And then move these two so I can move those lids over here. Okay, so these were thrown like this on the wheel, and then I cut them off a little earlier and turned them over so that this part here could stiffen up just a little bit. But now I'm going to stick these to the bat that I put down on the wheel so I can trim them, and I just add a little bit of water to that rim there, and then get it on the wheel, the bat on the wheel, and then get it centered. And then with that little bit of water, it helps stick the bat, or stick the lid to the bat. So that I can trim it. All right, let's see. Let me lower this back down. Yeah, Horace, I've never been able to tap center. And these, I don't know if it would work really well on these anyways, with that being a little bit wet. Um, so, hey, Rich, welcome. Yeah, I've just never learned tap centering, and I've seen people do it, and I'm like, man, that looks really cool, but I've I've never really been good at that. Yeah, the wheel's definitely not squeaking like it was earlier today, so I'm very happy about that. I did order some belt conditioner on Amazon, and then when I read that about the silicone, I'm like, well, I'll use that for now, and then I can still put the belt conditioner on there if I want to. All right, so that's pretty much the shape that I'm going for. I'm going for like a little rim out here and then the round top. Most of these I made pretty deep, so I don't want to trim really any in the center, but I'm just going down from that center out. And now because of all the grog that's in this clay, you guys can probably see how groggy that is. I'm going to use this rubber rib to smooth that out before I attach the knob. It's about impossible to do that little part down there, but get it a little bit. All right. So now what I do to hey Deborah, this clay is Oka Medium from Starworks. In my gas kiln, I use Hestia from High Water. Um, as of right now, that's the two clays I'm using. All right, so I took my fingernail and I drew a little line on the. I took my fingernail and I drew a little line on that. That will help me get the little cylinder here centered. So then what I do is just take and add a little bit of water to this part, and then I set it down on there and try to just eyeball it to the center. And then I just add a little water to the top and use some downward pressure to help kind of push that down. And then I'll use my fingernail and my thumb to kind of smooth that on the outside. And by now it's, because of being freshly trimmed there on the top, it kind of is a little bit softer. And then with this, the cylinders I threw being soft from being freshly thrown, they attach very well. So now with that being, like I said, being thicker, I've got plenty of clay there to work with to make the knob that I want, which I'm not doing any tall knobs anyways, but I'll just flare that out and then bring the top together to close that off. And there we go. Then tomorrow I'll come back. Once these stiffen up, they'll release from this back because they're still a little bit stuck from that water added. And then I'll use a drill to drill the hole up through the inside into this so that air has a way to get out. So there's your profile. Oop. One of my lights just went out, the one that was running on battery. I think where are, let me, I'll plug it in. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, let me catch up with the comments. All right, Daryl, I'm glad you found the video. Hey, Adam, welcome. If you're still here. Hey, Hippos from Outer Space, I'm glad you made it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Yeah, Horace, I do have a video on throwing lids for jars, and I show this whole technique on the video as well. Yep. Hey, Jackie, I'm glad I answered that. Yeah, Rick, I like to add a little bit of decoration on top of the knob. Hey, Ben, welcome. Yeah, Giffen grips are nice. They really are. I don't have one, but yeah, they're proud of them though. They're not cheap, but they are definitely worth it. I should get one. John, isn't this the tutorial? Yeah, like I said, yeah, those Giffen grips, they are nice, but they are proud of them. They really like their product. Which, like I said, I agree with you. They definitely are. They're worth it, but they're not cheap. I can actually see by the ring that was left here on this bat that it's actually touching out here. So I'm actually going to add the water out there instead of on the inside. Yeah, I don't think tap centering would work for these anyways because, like I said, I've already got the water added and they're kind of sticking a little bit. So just doing that right there works, and a lot of times I just kind of tap it on top just to give it a little extra downward pressure to attach better. Yeah, I usually, after I throw one or two lids, I usually clean out all this extra so it has more room to go. Good thing if the lids are wet, wet lids are wids. If the lids are fairly wet when you trim them, then I can just take this clay here usually and repug it, or if I have to, just add a little bit of water to the bag and then it'll soften up and not even have to turn it into slip. I can just repug it that way, which is nice. Any clay that I can reclaim without having to wet it all the way down is a whole lot easier, the process of reclaiming it, which is why I take a lot of the clay, like I said, out of my splash pan and just set it out on a bat so it can stiffen up, and then I can just repug that. It's just a lot easier than having to get it all the way down to the wet stage where it's slipped basically, and then reprocessing it from there. It just takes more time and energy to do that. I know I mentioned this a couple videos ago, or I think my first live stream I did here, um, 2 live streams ago. I think it was my first one this year. But anyway, I know I mentioned it, that I had considered setting up a Patreon, and I have set up most of it so far. I will give an announcement of some kind once I get it complete. If you guys don't know what that is, Patreon is a website set up for content creators, for those who might want to support them financially, and it is once you sign up, it is a monthly thing that you agree to. Of course, you can cancel or change that at any time. I've never set one up because I've never been one. I don't want to feel like I'm begging people for money, because I'm not destitute in any way. But I'm starting to realize how much time I am putting into my videos and YouTube this year, and it definitely wouldn't hurt to have some support from that. If there are some people, other than people buying pots on Etsy, there's really no way anybody could support me other than watching the videos, which definitely does help. But I'm gonna finish setting up the Patreon. If anyone's interested, like I said, there'll be some basic rewards on there for people that, if they do become a Patreon, that they can get access to, including some monthly shipments of pottery based on the amount of patrons I have, as well as some early access to my Etsy restocks, as well as some probably some Etsy coupons as well. So there you go. Just a quick update that I'm going to be finishing that up sometime soon, and I'll announce that. But just so you guys know, as of course I couldn't make anybody spend any money anyways, but totally optional, and I'm gonna keep making videos either way. But just a way that if some people want to support me and help out the process, that'll be a way that they can do it. I figure if you're here watching a live stream an hour and 15 minutes in, then you're probably somebody who watches me pretty regularly anyways, and I figured it'd be safe to mention that. I wasn't going to start out the video talking about it, but I will make a video or include it in a video once I do launch it, but just want to give you guys a heads up. There you go. There's another one. I don't have to trim all these on the live stream if there's something else that you guys would like to see. Hey, John. I believe that's probably the first super chat I've had since I turned that on. So thank you very much. That also is by no means a required thing. And but somebody mentioned that maybe I should turn that on if anybody wants to donate while I'm doing live streams, that they could do that. Let me scroll back a little bit. You're welcome, Deborah. John, it could be my internet connection. Sorry, I probably should turn my Wi-Fi off. And so it's just connecting to just my cell phone signal. So, all right, good. I'm glad to know it's better. Now, Seth, I don't know that you can get a tax write-off for that. Hey, Adam. Hey, I'm really glad that the videos help, and like I said, that's why I make them. Like I said, I'm not by any means begging for money, but well, and Jackie, you'd be surprised. I guarantee you'd be surprised. I don't like I said. That's why I'm prefacing that by saying I'm not begging for money. But you'd be surprised the amount of people that probably still have money even with all this going on, and some very generous people that are willing to share that. And um, so Horace, I have no idea how you donate on Facebook. I've never done that. Even with, like I said, even with this all this stuff with the beginning talking about Patreon, I have never set one up because like I said, it wasn't something that I thought of. I even had a hard time when I first did my Kickstarter, and that was something also that people would get a benefit from if they backed my Kickstarter. It's just not something that I've ever thought of as far as the way I would do, the way I would work with my pottery and all that. So. But I did do a Kickstarter, and I got I just had to see it from a different angle. That especially with Kickstarter or any of the GoFundMe, if you're supporting a project, you're basically just paying in advance for the product that they're making or the project that they're working on, and of course some people back those projects and pick the lowest dollar amount where they don't get anything for their pledge. And that's just people that want to back it and they don't expect anything in return. They just want to help out other people. So, like I said, I'm gonna still keep making videos either way. So, if you think Patreon is dumb and you would never do it, then that's fine. It doesn't matter either way. Also, I remember I remember there being a guy that started a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe. I can't remember which. Um, he was gonna make a I don't know, like a fruit salad or a macaroni salad or something. And so he started a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter to buy the supplies to do it, and it was probably just a prank. But everybody was so like, either thought it was so funny or just was like, help the poor kid out. He ended up raising like a couple $1,000s to make a macaroni salad. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty silly right there. But hey, stranger things have been done, and it's a crazy world, as we all know, especially right now. Here, we'll do one there with a smooth knob without that little button on top. Yeah, I do have um, yeah, Seth, I do have a PayPal, and I have a cash account. Um, yeah, the PayPal is just my email, the Matthew Kelly Pottery at Gmail. Okay, Daryl. Yeah, I see that. Oh yeah, maybe we can do a trade for pottery. Yeah, yeah. Hey, if you decide you don't like it, bring it with you when you come to my kiln opening. We'll do a barter, a gift and grip for some pottery. Yeah, Adam. My Kickstarter was not successful as far as the amount that I was trying to reach, but that was like 5 years ago. Also, so Kickstarter had less of um, a name brand per se to it, but you know, but it's tricky. It really is. I mean, you can go to Kickstarter, at least at the time I did, and they list all the percentages of projects that are successful and not, and you can view past projects. So there's a lot of information you can look at there. Yeah, lids are about the only thing that I trim. Yeah, you're right. It might be a waste for me to have one, but these are they're not super dry. They're still pretty tacky. A lot of times I'd probably wait till these are a little drier to trim, but they're working out all right. Healing Springs, hey, welcome. Yeah, Jackie, it's interesting about the social distancing and I, we won't get into a whole we won't get on that topic because I agree. We just all need to be smart. But the only thing I'll say is that I think everybody needs to be smart, but at the same time, I don't know that I need to be told or mandated that I can't go anywhere. That doesn't sound like America to me. Put it that way. That's all I'm going to say about that. We won't go down a rabbit hole or go down that topic. But um, I'm smart enough not to go out unnecessarily in public right now because I don't want to catch it and I don't want to get sick, and I think most of the rest of us know that as well. So. So, anybody got any more or comments so we can actively change the subject there? I did a little mini rant and then let's change the subject. I realized let's not talk about that. Of course, we talk too much about that. There's a good chance that uh, you know my videos that talk about that too are they're I'm not an expert and I don't want to go down that path. So. And I've only got after this one, I got 3 more lids. We can talk about what we're going to do next. I was thinking we could talk a little bit about glazing today, but I might make a separate video on that anyway. I've never made too many videos about glazing, usually because I'm in such a hurry when it gets ready to time to glaze that I don't really have time to sit down and think about all the different steps of glazing and making a video. Also because my steps of glazing usually take either they last multiple hours as far as in between letting something dry and then dipping another color, or maybe I'll do it the next day. Usually I'm dipping 1 or 2 glazes, and then after the first one dries, I dip the second one. After the second one dries, I got to spray another glaze on. And so usually it's just a multiple step process, and so it's a lot harder to make a video about that when I have to plan that out ahead of time, and I have to take time out of usually a pretty busy schedule of trying to get pots made for an order or to go into a kiln at a certain time frame. And to stop that whole thing in the midst of all those different steps and make portions of a video. But now would be a good time for me to do that because I'm not in too much of a hurry to get things done because I'm not going much of anywhere, and I'm going to postpone my kiln opening and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'll probably make a separate video about some of my glazing techniques. Most likely won't be sharing glaze recipes, but I'll definitely share some ideas and some techniques that I think will help no matter what glazes you're using, and things that you can do to test out different glazes together, and just some overall inspiration and just things that I've learned about glazing and the way that I achieve some of my results as far as technique goes. So I'll probably save that for a video. Plus we're 88 minutes in by the time I trim 3 more lids, and then maybe we'll throw something else. That'll probably be a good amount of time. Before I trim another one, I'm gonna clean up. Make a big pile here of my trimmings that I can put in a bag afterwards. All right, let's see. Let me look at chat real quick. Wow, a lot more chats, or a lot more comments than I thought since then. How do I get clients? Okay, yeah, I'll talk about that. Trimming lids, Healing Springs, you probably figured that out by now. All right, Daryl, thanks for coming by. Horace, thank you for coming as well. Glad you were able to come by. Yeah, Mikkel, I plan to do that. Yeah, the glazing. Okay, I read through several comments there. Is it Anas or I'm trying to or Anna Anna S. Let's see. How do I get most of my clients? Well, number one, I live in Seagrove, which is a pretty popular pottery area. So there are customers that at least were coming to Seagrove on a pretty regular basis. There's one really nice gallery in town that I have some work in. I mean, there's a couple nice galleries in town, but one of them that I have some work in. And so that's right out by the interstate where people usually come into Seagrove. So I have work in there that people can see, and then if people like what they see in there, the people that own that shop will send people, if they're like, hey, if you want to see more of their work, you can go to their store, or I'm open by appointment, so they'll call ahead of time and see if I'm open. I'm definitely by no means an expert in online support or promoting of my business. I'm working on it. I think YouTube definitely helped me a ton with that, making the videos, and then along with that, I had the Facebook page a long time before I did YouTube, and then the Instagram as well. Now that Instagram and Facebook are on, Facebook owns Instagram, it's pretty easy to post to both at the same time. This year I decided, as far as my online marketing per se or promotion, I was going to do 2 videos a week on YouTube, and then I was going to try to post at least 3 times a week to Instagram and Facebook simultaneously. I've definitely been doing more than 3 times a week on that, but that was kind of just my baseline that I wanted to do, just to help, get images and my product out there so that people could see it and know what I do and what I make and what's available. Also, just to create interest in my work. I mean, that's you got to find definitely ways to do that. And of course, we're somewhat limited because there's only so many social media ways to do that. I don't have a blog. I don't write. So we all have a limited amount of time that we can spend on things like that. I've only done a few paid promotions on Facebook, and that's usually at the end of the year. For the last couple years, I've done paid ads on Facebook for my Christmas ornaments, and those usually worked out really well. It seemed, though, last year when I did that, I think I did it. No, actually, I might not have done it last year. I can't remember now. I think when I did the paid promotion for my kiln opening, it seemed like what I paid and what the people that I got access to was a lot less than it used to be. So I'm assuming, and I've heard that from other people as well, so I'm assuming maybe that Facebook changed either their pricing structure or their way that they market your posts. I'm assuming maybe they changed that somewhere along the way, because I don't stay up to date on all that information either. But I think any of those social medias where you can put out information about your work and about your process, that might interest people, and that for everybody that puts out information, different parts of their process and their product are going to interest people in different ways. And so finding the way that works best for you, that's the most convenient for you, and that's most effective, and also that people are interested in. I guess that has to do with being effective, but it's probably going to be a little bit different for everybody. All right, y'all be thinking as soon as I finish this one and the next lid, we'll throw something else. Y'all be thinking of maybe what you would like to see made. I haven't looked at comments. I'll try not to look at comments until I finish these 2. That way I can go ahead and get them done. Getting easily distracted over here by checking in between each one. It's the only downside of doing a live stream or anything on YouTube, is it takes me longer to do things than it would if I was just If I just sat down and just wanted to get it done, I'd be done with these already. All right, one more. I have been doing this before, and if the lid is drier, it doesn't stick as easily, and be trimming and just totally knock the lid and it goes flying into the splash pan, and usually that just wrecks that lid and you can't recover. But I have recovered one before that I've done that way, but definitely better to have that not happen. Last one. That one didn't close all the way. There we go. Maybe we'll do another one. Well, that one's got a little bit of clay. We'll just do the little single button on top of this one instead of the double layer. All right. Now we just hope that they all fit, or at least 6 out of the 7 fit. My having my lidded the jars upside down on the bats helped a little bit, but there's still a couple of them that the top's got a little wonky, and I'm hoping that the lids still work well. So that's a pretty good amount of clay there that I trimmed off that we should be able to reclaim. And don't you dare say you want me to throw something with this right now, because you know that won't work. I guess we'll just leave that right there in a pile. All right, I need to actually plug in my phone. So I'm going to unplug the microphone. All right, let me scroll back a little bit. I'm glad to hear that helped. Let's see. Oh, the video stopped. Hopefully it's back now. Face jug. Seth, you're always asking about that. I can't do that live unless I had a jug already made. You're so funny. Yeah, I'm using my phone to video. Yeah, that's what I make all my videos with. That's what I'm using now to do the live stream. The bases that these lids go on are those right up there. So 6-pound bases that I made before. That's probably one of the smallest of all of them, but yeah, Gene, that definitely. If you don't have an extra, yeah, you'll probably lose one. Yeah, the lids will be fired on the base. So these will be fired in my wood kiln. So we'll put the little wads of clay in between my wadding in between the rim of the pot and the base to keep them separate. And Mickle, yeah, most people do a lot of trimming. And there's nothing wrong with it. Definitely, if it helps you make a better quality pot, then yeah, that's definitely that definitely helps out. Wonky, yeah. Have you ever tried to fire pieces all stuck together? Not really. My goal usually is not to have them stuck together, but I'll try a small bowl with my eyes closed. Rick, I have a video where I threw blindfolded, but I might do that. Do a live stream on a face jug. Yeah, I need to make a jug that I can put that on. So, oh, the trimmings all stuck together. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I guess if I didn't wad them up like that, but the way I wadded them up, I probably trapped some air in there, and that probably wouldn't be good. But yeah, maybe if I just made a pile of them and try that out. But that's kind of interesting. That'd be one of those things you find in an art museum somewhere. Um, you know, they take a there you go. That's a piece of art right there. That's the looks like something that you'd find in a museum, right? It's like, yeah, I worked, 27 hours crafting this and lots of thought and drawings before that. Look at that, I'm making fun of that and I choke on. All right, let's see. Let's make a jug so the next live stream I have a jug to put a face on for, and then Seth's gonna have to buy it from me after it's fired, so just so that he's aware. All right. I'm sure he heard that. He hasn't responded yet. Yeah, Jackie, I don't definitely don't think trimming's bad by any means. But I don't do much of it myself just because I don't have to. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. But I think, yeah, if you can throw most things where you don't have to trim, then yes, I think that definitely shows a level of skill, or a mastery at least of throwing. That doesn't mean you're a master potter in any sense, but other than the sense of throwing, I think if you can throw most things and you don't trim or don't have to trim, then yeah, you're doing pretty well. But then again, too, if you're throwing with the intention of trimming, then there's skill in that too. So there's definitely, like I said, just different skill sets, and they can be shown in lots of different ways. I've known people with the total opposite, where that if you don't trim a bowl, then it's not a true bowl, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really subscribe to that idea either. So. I'm going to have to turn this into the ugliest face jug I ever made, just so that Seth feels guilty and has to buy it no matter what it looks like. If y'all don't know, Seth is related to my wife, so um, that's why I can pick on him. I'm not picking on somebody that I don't know. But then Seth, he'll be like, I saw that throne and the face put on it. And then he's going to help me with my next firing. So he's going to I even helped fire it, and now it's in my house. So probably no matter what it does look like, he would want it. Copper red? Well, this is clay from my wood kiln. I can't do it in copper red. I do need to do something copper red. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Copper red face jug. I need to pull this a little bit more. It's a little heavy. There we go, Seth. There's a jug. I'm gonna have to put a face on it. Maybe I'll have you come over here for the next live stream and I'll make you put the face on it. I shouldn't say that. You'll be like, heck yeah, I'll do it. I'd probably have a lot of people tune in to watch you put a face on a jug. They'd be like, let me see what kind of mess this guy makes. See? I knew you'd say you'd do it. There we go. I did some lines there at the top to give some extra decoration. Oh yeah, Eva. Good night. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm working on doing these at different times so different people can watch. But thank you for being here. Yeah. John, I thought about that. If I did a devil jug, I could do it in copper red. I'm just not sure that I want to do a devil jug, but you know. I got two Johns in here, so Pottery Works John and then okay, didn't show up. There we go. And I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Schachter. Maybe I said that right. Anyway, let's see. I'll save the glazing part. Desert Rock Pottery John. There you go. Yeah, Pottery Works John and Desert Rock Pottery John. That's a lot longer to say. I'll save the glazing portion for an actual video because that way, if more people want to see it, they can see that in the video and it'll be shorter. It'll reach more people that way. Hey, good. I'm glad. English was not my favorite subject. Still is not, but I try my best. All right, I got another clay ball here. Let's see. All right, one more pot. Papa John, there we go. Feel you don't find the thickness as well when the clay is wet at leather hard. I feel everything. I'm not sure. I mean, earlier in my video that's coming out tomorrow, I have a pottery challenge. And I was taking a 1 pound clay ball and 2 pound clay ball where I threw and see how tall of a cylinder I could make. And honestly, in the 1 pound, I could have swore that I threw it thinner than I did. Later on, I cut it in half. And I was like, man, I could have pulled that a lot more than I thought that I did. So, but, you know, just is what it is. So, you know, it's going to be different times is going to, you're going to feel it better. And depending on the stiffness of the clay, there's all kinds of factors that could come into play as to whether or not how well you throw something, or how much, I guess probably even how well you feel the thickness of the clay when you're throwing it. All right, Seth was the first one. I'm going to throw a Rebecca pitcher. This is probably 1.5 pounds of clay, and then we'll end after this. So we put handles on a vase, handle on a pitcher. We put the top on that 6-pound bottom for a vase. We trimmed 7 lids and added the knobs through a jug, and then we'll throw this Rebecca pitcher. And I guess in the next video, our next live stream, we'll probably, if this is still, we'll put a handle on this Rebecca pitcher if it's ready, and we'll put a face on that jug. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I'll have my video up on YouTube. Well, you're on YouTube right now watching, but I'll have my video up, the Pottery Challenge video. And then I think for my Saturday video, I think I'm going to do a video on my my tools and equipment. Just kind of talking about what equipment I have and what tools I have and what I use the most as far as tools go. Talk a little bit about that. That's what I'm thinking about. We'll see. I've also got the glazing idea. I'm going to do that soon. I've got a whole list of ideas in an app on my phone. So not running out of ideas. Usually it's kind of dictated by what I really need to work on that day, as to what I make a video about. Oops, dropped my tool. You guys thought I was doing some special trick there for a second. I'm like one of those be like one of those chefs at a Japanese steakhouse where they flip all their tools and their knives around in front of you. I need to start doing that with pottery tools. I bet more people would watch. Like flip them up in the air and spin them around. Hibachi style. There you go. Pottery hibachi style. I've already got the Bob Ross thing going. You know, it's the Bob Ross of clay right here, and then do hibachi style tool flipping, and who knows. All right, so that's not my favorite Rebecca picture shape ever, but it has the basic look of it. And now I'm gonna alter the top. Do my spout on this side, and then I'll flip it around. On the back side, I'm gonna push this side in. The handle will actually come up this side from the back and then down and attach. So it'll come up like this and then down. Oh, I got nowhere to set that one. All right, we'll just set it up there, and I'll... All right, Seth, you got to buy that one too. All right. We're just gonna make Seth buy everything. Need to tell Cheryl that she's gonna keep you from watching live streams because you're gonna spend all your money. Hey, Jackie, you're welcome. I guess that's probably definitely a hard question to answer, but hey, Deborah, why do they call her Rebecca Pitcher? Well, the stories I've heard is from biblical times where they would take the handle and dip it down into the well, and they could dip it down and fill it up, and then pull it back up out of the well with water without getting their hand down in the water. That's what I've heard. So that was about 1.5 pounds of clay, Seth. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Mikkel, when you reduce the size of a neck like that, I have a video out on making a vase with tall, skinny necks, and I think I talk about it in there, but one of the things is leaving enough clay in that neck as far as thickness goes so that as you pinch it in, it doesn't buckle, as well as just if you can pull it as evenly as you can, leaving it thick and pulling it evenly so that there's no unevenness, because if you've not centered it very well and then you pull it, or as you pull it, if you threw it out of center and there's some unevenness there, when you go to choke that in, it exaggerates that, and that's what caused some of that buckle, as well as, like I said, that if it's too thin, then it also will buckle. So just a couple things there that may help you with that. Yeah, I know, Gene, Rebecca Pitcher. It was, come on now. First one was 10 pounds and about that big. We are doing Dave Ramsey. Did you hear that, Seth? Yeah, hey, Alonzo, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Glad you could be here today to catch a live stream. Timothy, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. And anyway, so yeah, there's a little over 2 hours. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, hope you learned something. And we'll, like I said, we'll do another live stream. Like I said, I'll have my video out tomorrow morning, and then we'll do another live stream soon. Probably not tomorrow. We'll see. I'll announce it ahead of time. Wednesday might be pretty busy, so I might wait all the way until Thursday. It's Monday, to do another live stream. But if we do, I got to keep that covered up and keep this covered up so we can do the handle and do the face on the face jug. You're welcome. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Ebutuoy. I would butcher that if I tried. So 333. So sorry about that. Rick, thank you for being here. Thanks, John. Thank Rich. Thank you, Rich. All right. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Gene. Good talking to you guys. And look forward to seeing some of you guys live whenever we get back to business as usual and life as usual. So thanks, Seth. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys and love you guys. You guys stay safe as well and be smart. And let's all get better and so life can get back to normal. And but in the meantime, we'll communicate this way, and you guys can get more live streams and videos. So anyway, thank you guys as always, and don't forget to when this video does go up on the YouTube channel, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up button, share it if you want to, or any of my other videos. If you find them useful, give them a thumbs up and share them wherever you want to. With friends and family and those in your pottery classes and so on. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys.